The Swiss government is willing to release details of Swiss bank accounts of Indian tax evaders after India and Switzerland meets in Geneva in December to revise the existing double taxation treaty between the two countries.
Well, the Swiss ambassador to India, Philippe Welty, tells National Affairs correspondent Suman Chakrabarti in this exclusive interview.
What the Indian side can expect is that once we, Indian government, Swiss government, have agreed on a specific, possibly change of the existing treaty, that Switzerland will implement the treaty in the spirit and by the letter of what has been decided upon. Let's put it more precisely. Then the Indian government is entitled to submit requests for that purpose. And the Swiss government will be entitled to examine those requests. And if those requests fit into the provisions agreed upon, then the release of data will be possible. Switzerland will completely live up to the legitimate expectations out of the treaty. The existing treaty allows already for release of data. In the future, the treaty will be possibly adapted, revised, and then we will live up to the new obligations of the Swiss side to release data. Of course, we will release data. We understand that this is the Indian government's concern, possibly also Indian society's concern. The Swiss government's and Swiss society's concern is to make understand the world that Switzerland and the banks and the system and the government is not interested in keeping illegitimate, illegal money. I think that must be a fundamental assumption on both sides. If we agree to have negotiations, it is the expression of a fundamental readiness to address concerns. Of course, first, the negotiation and the possible revision of the treaty must have as a conclusion, as a result, the inclusion of tax evasion as a case, as a type of case for which release of data is possible. Most probably the Indians will ask for the inclusion of tax evasion in the set of provisions of the treaty, which would then mean that release of data would be possible. But let's first...
Switzerland is willing to do that?
Switzerland is willing to open negotiations on that topic. They may well agree after the negotiations to include that. First, the figures I could read in the papers and here in the Indian media are fantasy. I mean, this doesn't make sense with any comparison. So much for the figures, for the amounts. When it comes to the distinction between legal and illegal, don't expect me to make any assertion. I have no idea how much is illegal and how much is illegal.